And welcome back, gamers. We are here again in Dwarf Fortress, Lazy Noob Pack Edition. As you can see, we're right back where we were last episode. We just completed our little wood crafting area, and we've carved ourselves out a little place in the mountain here. So I'm going to go through, I'll cover sort of the general commands again in case you've forgotten or you just don't remember, and we will see about maybe starting a little bit of housing and that sort of thing, because as you can see, like this dwarf right here, he's just sleeping on the floor, and that kind of makes them unhappy. So if you hit so the three viewing commands are K for general view. So as you can see, here's a dog, and here's some logs, and some grass, and a shrub, all that sort of thing. V is for creature view, including your own dwarves and creatures in the world. So as you can see, here's some dogs and that sort of thing. You can hit P for preferences, and that's how you slaughter animals, or you can hit Z and it sort of tells you about the creature and all that sort of thing. For dwarves, it's a little bit more useful because all of your commands are here. So general, this basically tells you what they do and their level of skill in it. I in inventory tells you what they're wearing. It's kind of crazy, I know. P is preferences, and this is where you will basically give them new jobs. So if you hit V and you find a dwarf and hit P, so you're in their preferences, you can then go, let's see, you can choose labor or work animals. So if you happen to have some trained dogs, that's where work animals go. Labor is if you want this dwarf tends to be like idling a lot and you want them to do something, you can hit labor, and then you can give them extra jobs. And you navigate this menu with plus and minus on your number pad. But this is our miner. He's pretty busy. We've got better things for him to do. So we're going to go ahead and hit escape. The other view is Q, and that's for buildings. So as you can see, it doesn't tell us anything. It's just saying no buildings nearby. But if we go near a stockpile or a building, it basically gives us options for commands. And since we don't have any actual workshops built yet, this isn't very useful. It just tells us about stockpiles for now. So we're going to hit escape, and we're going to unpause it, which is space, and we're going to let the world run for a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to start the design for our next area. So I'm going to drop down a level, and remember to change levels is shift, comma, and shift period. So it's the greater than or less than commands is what you're doing. So comma and less than is up, or shift period or greater than is down. So we are going to go ahead and create another one of our little areas here. So you create, to enter that, you hit D for designation, you hit D for mine, and then you hit enter and create a box. Remember, it's from corner to corner. So we created a box like this. I selected here and hit here. If you didn't happen to like that box, you can hit X for remove designation, and you hit enter, and then you create that box again. So as you can see, I just removed all of that designation. But we actually want this one, and I want up-down stairways, so I'm going to create a sub-box, and then I'm going to clear out the middle. So we kind of have a pillar here that will carry on throughout as long as I keep that design. And the dwarves will then come and mine this out for us. And we're going to sort of plan our world based on this. So we're going to go this way. And let's see. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's over here. So over here-ish. And I don't necessarily want them to do all of that, so we're going to go ahead and alter this a little bit, sort of just as a, because what I want is basically a direct path from the farms down into where we're going to store and prep food, which is going to be over here. So we're going to go ahead and plan this a little bit. So this is going to be our chow hall right about here. And we want to make it symmetrical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, let's shift this a little bit. 1, 2, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then up for some number. let's make that some number 1 bigger. And then we will create food storage on one side. And cooking on the other one. Let's see, so I need, what is it, 4? 1, 2, 3, space 1, 2, 3, space 1, 2, 3. So let's dig this out a couple. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that'll be fine. And then I'm going to connect this directly, like I said, so I'm going to jump down, and that will bring us right into the middle here, which is kind of perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and do downward stairway, and then I'm going to do an up-down stairway, and then I'm going to do an up stairway. Not very perfect, but it basically gets me where I want it. And general, so we're going to go ahead and live with that. And then I'm going to cut this off right about here because I don't want it going all the way over there. I mean, I'll eventually want that path to continue all that way, but not right now. Six, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. Actually, yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and let our fortress run for a bit. Miners are busy mining away. Dwarves are busy putting together workshops and all that good stuff. A lets you view announcements. Announcements will appear down on this bar here, and A will bring it up. If you have an announcement up and you're tired of looking at it, so see, there's something blocking this, you can go ahead and hit A, and it will clear that. We just suspended something. Where did that go? Okay, well, whatever. And as you can see, even with items in the stockpile, dwarves can move through it, so we don't really have to worry about cutting those off or anything like that. Oh, no, 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 no. Woo! Sorry about that. I'm about to look something up, so let's see. Too bad. Oh well. So what I'm going to be doing here is that this will actually be our dormitory here in this little area. Just because we need some places to sleep, and I don't necessarily have really grand designs for that just yet. So we're going to go ahead and let that go for now. What is our carpenter doing? Oh, he's busy moving stuff. Alright, fine. We're going to let that go because we definitely need somewhere to store food and cook it, because it's going to be not too long. See, all of these have grown into mushrooms and they're sort of flashing, so if we don't get a place to store food up pretty quick. In fact, what I'm going to do, just to make sure we don't spoil anything, is I'm going to move food down here temporarily. I'm going to highlight it, change it, and make sure that seeds do not come through. So we're going to forbid seeds, which is F. So remember, P is stockpile. Select your stockpile, and then paint it basically by creating the box, enter, and then enter in the other corner. And then to view and change its settings is Q. So I'm basically moving all the food down here just so those plump helmets don't spoil. And that's basically like if you sort of set your stuff too quick and you don't have time, or you don't have your food stockpile ready to go. That's basically how you can get around that, at least for a short time. It'll still spoil, but it'll spoil a little bit less quickly. You can see we're stacking fish and that sort of thing. So basically my general design is, so this will be our meeting hall. This will be where all our tables and all of our fancy stuff is, and next to that over here will be basically our kitchen. There will be a Fisher Dwarf workshop, a kitchen, a still, and a butcher shop, and then a screw press and a quern, basically to mill and squeeze things. And that will basically be our setup for the kitchen. All of our food storage will be on this opposite side, and in the middle will be our dining hall. And we're moving stuff over here just to make sure that it doesn't spoil on us. And here is a group of flies. You might be like, why is this ground moving? But if you hit K, as soon as it comes up, see, there it was. Oh, he got away from us. I'm not sure where those flies went. As you can see, our carpenter is now putting together that workshop, and he has already actually put it together, and he's already started constructing beds. So if you hit Q, you can view the workshop, and it'll tell you everything that's currently being constructed. A means that's what's going on right now. R means repeat this job, so when it's completed, it'll automatically be put back into the queue at the bottom. And R will cancel that. If you want to make a new task, you can hit C to cancel anything you already have, and then A will basically bring it up, and you navigate this menu with the plus and minus. So you can go ahead and see what's made out of wood if you just want to keep someone busy, a carpenter, and then you can go ahead and highlight and be like, build this and whatever. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create a new stockpile since our little area is complete. So we're going to go ahead and highlight it here. We're going to then change its settings just like in the other one, and we are going to forbid seeds. And then over here, we are going to so go ahead and hit P, and then hit X to remove, and then just go ahead and highlight it. And they will go ahead and they will move all of that food from this place. Oh wait, let's see. I don't think I actually removed it. As you can see, they're starting to transfer food from this stockpile over to this one. And I am going to start placing beds in here because this is our dormitory. Oops, rock bed, rock door. I have 5 of those. Okay, so they're moving all of that good stuff over. So to make this a dormitory, just because we don't have any individual rooms built, go ahead and we're going to want to expand a room off of a structure. In this case, it's a bed. There's definitely different options. If it's a chair or a table, it'll create a different kind of room depending on what you're looking for. But in this case, we want a place for dwarves to sleep. So go ahead and hit Q. That will basically allow you to view structures, which in this case are the beds. So here there's only one option, and that's make bedroom. So now it's showing you basically what is qualifying as this bedroom. So plus on the number pad increases it, and minus decreases it. So we want it to fill this whole room, and we're going to want to make it a dormitory. So go ahead and hit D, and then basically repeat that just to make sure that all of the beds are used when they are able. And I'm sort of stopping at this door because I don't want it to spill over, but eventually when I put doors in here, it'll naturally stop that. So dwarves, when they've got a free moment, they'll now come in here and pass out, rather than just falling asleep on the floor. And I'm going to open up this for basically our stone crafting, so all of our stones will be diverted into here, and all of its crafting will be in there as well. And we're still working on this area over here, but it shouldn't be too long. We've got all this dead stuff lying around again, so I'm gonna, I don't wanna, you can navigate through on these menus in the K viewer with plus and minus again. In this case we don't want to dump the rock, we want to dump the dead hamster, so go ahead and find whatever happens to be dead. It'll say remains after it, and there will be a couple of options. Forbid basically means never touch this ever. Claim means I want you to do something with it, and I'm going to tell you what it is here in a minute. If you were talking to the dwarf, that is. But in this case, we just want to dump it. We just want to take it out to the garbage. So go ahead and hit D, and that will send that to the dump. And you want to do that for all of these dead little carcass things around. I got a ton up here, because the cat thinks it's being helpful by bringing us food, but we don't want any of that. We struck pyrite. As you can see, our dwarves are kept pretty busy. We have, and here it's kind of nice because with these stockpiles you can kind of see where you're at on those particular stocks without having to guess, rather than being like, I feel like we haven't done anything with wood for a while, I guess I'll queue some up to be chopped. Well, in this case, you can actually see how much it is you have left. So you're like, oh, we've only got so many such and such's left. We only have so many wood logs left. I better go chop some more, that sort of thing. So it's definitely not only helps keep dwarves busy and keeps your stockpile, your workshops from having to move too far for their materials, but it also helps you keep track of what you need and how much of it you've got. So here, Lazy Newb Pack is basically the season switched, which you can see here. Every now and then it'll think the game is crashing, which you saw just there, but it'll come back. And as you can see, it's saying, oh, it's now summer, which is why that saving process happened. And since I have it set to save after that, I'll just go ahead, or pause it, rather. I went ahead and unpaused it, and things are back on track. And unfortunately, as you can see, even with the two minor dwarves, there's lots I want them to do, but not a ton of time that they have for that. So it takes them a little bit of time to actually get to work on those kind of things. And that's especially true in the beginning. Eventually, when you have lots of dwarves, you'll have lots of manpower to be like, go out and do this, and go out and do that sort of thing. But in the very beginning, you definitely run out of manpower a lot. See, and the dwarves are taking advantage of the dormitory, so they at least have somewhere to sleep where they're not grumbling and feeling crappy. Oh, started raining up here. And those rains you see as those little blue points. So as you see here and here is where the rain's falling. The rain will actually refill water and helps like fill up rivers. I've never seen like a flood where these overflow their banks and you have to worry about that. But if you were using this as a water source or were bucketing out water for like storing, like creating irrigation, the rain will fill that up, albeit slowly. And dwarves don't like to be caught in the rain, usually. Unless in the view menu, so if I hit V and find the nearest dwarf, you go to Z, it'll bring you to this menu, and you can hit enter, and it tells you their thoughts. You can also look at their health if you think, oh, I wonder how he's injured. Like if they got into just a fight, it'll tell you what's wrong with them. You can hit R to see their relationships. This is their deity. This is their friend. Sometimes it'll be acquaintances, spouses, children, all of that sort of thing. Y is customize if you want to happen to make yourself into a dwarf. But inner thoughts and preferences are what's important. So here it basically tells you if they're happy or sad, and it'll tell you basically what has adjusted this. So they were annoyed by flies, which is why we have the cat. She slept on a rough cave floor recently, which means we didn't have a bed for her, so that gave her a negative thought. She talked with a friend lately, which increases a happy thought. She has complained of the lack of chairs lately, which made her sad, and she has been satisfied at work lately, so that gives her a plus, and that brings her all to quite content, which is basically neutral. Certain things, obviously, since we had more negatives in there than positives, certain things increase more than they decrease, so, but depending on what it is. So, satisfied at work is a pretty good one, and that sort of thing. So it also tells you some other stuff. It tells you who they are a worshiper of. It tells you of where they're a citizen of and where they've been. It tells you how old they are. It tells you basically their sort of like description. It gives you their general overview. So she is quite durable and quick to heal, but she is weak and very quick to tire. So she might not be good for certain jobs that can wear her out quickly, like maybe she'll be bad at hauling, she'll have to take more breaks, or she won't be a very good long-term soldier because she's not very strong and she'll have to take more breaks than other soldiers. You don't necessarily have to worry about that most of the time, but definitely when selecting people for either your fortress security or for the military, it's things to consider. So this next portion is the area where basically you want to worry about if they become a noble dwarf. So they like horn silver, steel, black opal. They like bush hill teeth, bolts, helms, yaks for their shaggy hair, and boogeymen for their terror-inspiring antics. When possible, she prefers to consume adder, guppy, and gutter or something. I can't even read that. She absolutely detests oysters. So this is basically like if she became like a queen or like a noble dwarf through when you get an escalation, they will request things created based on their likes. So she might request things made out of steel more often, which can be a problem if you don't have a ready supply of access to steel, because they will punish dwarves for every time you miss one of their deadlines to create something. Or they'll want like black opal jewelry made. Which is why in my last video I also had that dwarf. In my last video, in the old version, I created the dwarf smasher because for things like that, where they really want things that they just can't have. And this basically tells them about their personality, like what happens, like what they like, if they get distracted, how they handle pressure, if they're good under stress, if they like combat, that sort of thing. So that tells you more about that. And that is basically the general overview for that. And we are getting close here, so I'm going to make a few workshops here. So I am going to hit B and W again for workshops. In this case, we're going to want Mason's workshops. Those are where all our stone crafts are made. So I'm going to make a few of those. And then what else is made out of stone is mechanics. So we're going to go ahead and make a mechanics workshop, and we're going to put that here as well. And then, as you recall, Craftsdorf's workshops are also used for that. So go ahead and find Craftsdorf, and that's R. And we'll make a few of those. So as I mentioned in my last video, and I know we're 25 minutes in, so it's taken me a little while to mention it here, but to queue up jobs, for example, if we want those Mason's workshops to actually do something, actually one moment, we'll get back into that. Let's see, Mason, Craftsdorf, Mechanic. There we go. So if you want to order up things like chairs or beds or weapons or armor stands, as you can see our rock instruments were just completed, so now I'm going to say I want bins and barrels, so go ahead and hit J and M. So J is the job manager, and it tells you everything that's under construction, everything that's like moving things, farming plots, everything. And then from there we want to go into the manager, which is M. And in here, it'll show you everything that you have ordered up and how many of them you ordered. And eventually over here, it'll tell you if the job has been approved or not yet. So go ahead and hit Q to make a new order. And in this case, we are going to want some rock tables. So go ahead and order 20 of those. We're going to want some rock. We're going to want some regular chairs. I'll say 20 of those as well. Let's see, what else are we going to want? We have doors on there. We have crafts. That'll be good for now. Down here, they're still carving this out, so we're not quite ready for that yet. And again, we're going to dump all of this dead stuff that is piling up. And as you can see, the cat is doing its job. Oh, nope. I want to dump that. Here we are expanding our dormitory because we have more dwarves and we still don't have any housing, but this will buy us some time so we don't have to work on that quite yet. And we have finished carving out all of this, so we're going to go ahead and create our stockpiles. Go ahead and hit P, and then here we are going to want stone, so go ahead and hit S, and then paint it just like you were selecting any sort of other thing. And if you see, it will highlight, but we want to do a little bit of changing on this as well, so go ahead and hit Q, and hit S, and it will bring us up into the stockpiles settings. So we don't necessarily have anything here for smelting or anything that will eventually be metal related. So as you can see, it lists all of those stones that are related to that over here, and we have none of those. So we are going to go ahead and forbid them. Even if we had these, we didn't want them here anyway because this is all for general stone crafting. Economic stones. So remember, you navigate this menu with the arrow keys, and you move basically across and then up and down. So economic means that these have some other sort of uses. We don't necessarily have any of these either, so we're going to go ahead and forbid those. Also because, well, yeah, we'll forbid those for now. This is basically all of the stone that is used for just everyday stuff. Doesn't do anything, but it exists, and you can turn it into stuff. So we're going to go ahead and leave this because this is exactly the stuff we want in here. And clay we also don't want there, but I'm actually going to include economic stones, just because some of these you can turn into stuff, and I don't necessarily like marble and chalk are basically like flux stone and that sort of thing. So, and these are the two fuel rocks I was telling you about that you can turn into actual fuel types, which is not necessarily something we want in here, but it's useful. So we'll go ahead and set that, and that will keep all of our doors busy, because you see all of these rocks that are dotted around. They're basically going to come in here, and they're going to arrange it into the stockpile, so when dwarves are working in here, they'll have easy access. So it's basically the sister area to the woodworking section. So go ahead and let that go for a while, and I'm hoping that they'll get to work on this over here, because we would like to create booze and things. And here's the cat bringing around dead stuff. It's carrying around something dead, because it's a cat, and that's what they do. This guy's moving rocks with a wheelbarrow. He's kind of going too fast. You can see him there. He's kind of going really fast, but you can see him kind of bouncing around with a wheelbarrow. Boo, boo. Picking up rocks. Sometimes they carry it by hand, but it can be a pretty labor-intensive process, so they don't always do it. But that's what it's doing there. And here we are mining out for what will be our trade depot, and we will build that here. We're getting close to the end of the episode, so we'll try and keep it quick. B is again your build menu, and hit Shift D for the trade depot, which is right here. And it is a 5x5 structure, and you can make it out of just whatever. I picked quartzite because we happen to have lots of it. So one thing to note is this needs to be accessible by wagons if you want it to be used the best of its ability. You can definitely have it outside, so I could have put it like right here, for example, but that will leave it exposed to sieges and any sort of creatures that snatch goods, that like a raccoon who thinks a shiny thing is really cool will snatch it and run off with it. Thieves, like kobold and goblin thieves, will pick stuff up and run off with it, and that's something to consider as well. Because usually when you conduct a sale, all of this stuff remains there unless it is queued up for orders, or I don't think they necessarily move it to warehouses very often, so it's something to consider. You can definitely have dwarves out there or move it out there, but your stuff is more liable to get stolen. So the reason why I have all of these hallways as an access 3, because wagons, this is a wagon here, they're all 3x3. So a wagon can move through here, and this is a ramp. So it'll take this ramp, and it'll come down, and it'll deposit all of the goods in this now trade depot. And we can access a trade depot with Q, but there's no traders right here, so it doesn't do us very much good. So they'll come down, and they'll unload goods here, and they can access that. To see if a wagon train can actually access your site, in the main menu, hold down Shift and hit D. Anywhere where there's a W is showing you where a wagon can pass through. One square means that it'll basically, like, the square in the center means a wagon can pass through here, and it will occupy the outside 2 spaces. Since the red X is here, it means the center of the wagon cannot pass through there. So as you can see, the wagon is able to access down here, and it can drive all the way up to right here, and that's as far as a wagon can get in. But we just wanted to access the trade depot, which is right there, which is perfect. So we're good. You always want to be concerned about trees and overgrowth, because it needs an access of 3, a pathway of 3, all the way up to your site. So you're going to want to be able to clear out trees or whatever you have to do to make sure that you'll get that space. Okay, so we've finished this area here, so we're going to go ahead and build our workshops. So go ahead and hit B for build, W for workshop, and we're going to want a kitchen, which is Z. Plop that just anywhere you happen to want it. And we remain in the workshop menu, and so we just got a kitchen, which is right here, so Z. Now we're going to want a still for the booze, so that'll be L. And we will put that right here. And then we're going to want a butcher shop, which is... Here it is. It'll be U. And we will put that right here, and we will order up some quartz for it. And then the last but not least is the Fischerdorf's workshop. And that is fishery, right here, H. And you'll know that you got the right one because it'll be up here. And we will put that right there, and we will also build that out of quartzite. So as you remember, screw press. Okay. So as you remember, I said two other things. A quern, you actually have to order the construction of a quern. So hit J, M, and Q, and type in quern, Quern, and it'll bring up rock quern, which is basically like a hand-operated mill device. You can definitely create like an actual millstone, but that needs power. So you'll either need like a work animal, or you'll need a windmill, or you'll need water source, so a water wheel can work it, but those are basically the options. So we're going to order up 3 of those rock querns, and then we're also going to need mechanisms, which is that workshop that we had, and we'll order up 15 of those. And that is the mechanics workshop, which is over here. But we don't have an engineer yet, so that's not going to get very far. But once we get an engineer, he will have something to do straight away. Alright, so we're moving right along, and that about kills the end, or is the end of the episode, rather. So hopefully this has been helpful, and you've been able to see sort of how to play Dwarf Fortress. We will probably get into a little bit more housing here in the near future. As you can see, they delivered those beds, so we're actually going to go through and make a little bit of a housing sector for people, do some other sort of work, and about getting ready for your first trade caravan and all that good stuff. So stay tuned. Hopefully we can teach you some more things here in the near future, and hopefully you've learned a few things up to this point. So I will say thank you for watching, and we hope to see you here next time. You have a good one.